with Matt Smith, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the UncomMEN podcast. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Matt Smith, which you'll see on the screen here. And I'm Josh Pacheco with my co-host, Chris Segura. We hope you all are having a wonderful Monday. And to introduce Matt Smith, this is a man who is a serial entrepreneur. This gentleman right here owns more than one business: Pueblo's Best Carpet Cleaning, Snap Fitness, Snooze Mattress Company, and Snooze Sleep Company. He also has a marketing business called Utopia Enterprises and is a real estate investor. In addition, he holds a place as a board member, as an elected official for the Pueblo West Metro District, and he is a loving husband and father. Matt Smith, welcome to the UncomMEN podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome, Matt Smith. Woo-hoo!
I'm honored to be here. This is awesome. And I've been on a few podcasts, but not once has anybody ever said, bring your own whiskey to this podcast.
Yes, sir. Salud, gentlemen.
It's already my
Salud.
favorite. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, gentlemen.
You know, we just thought, brainstorming, we wanted to talk about redefining success, given the interesting times that we're all in. So we thought that you would be a perfect individual because of your mindset and how you choose to stay positive.
I appreciate that. I'm honored to be here. It is a crazy different time in our world right now. Yeah, staying positive is definitely something that we are all trying to do for sure.
Absolutely, man.
Well, Josh gave us kind of a nutshell version of Matt Smith, but why don't you give us kind of a nutshell version from the horse's mouth? Tell us a little bit about yourself, tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit about who Matt Smith is.
Who Matt Smith is? Nobody prepared me for this. Let's see. Elevator pitch. I guess, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur that just absolutely loves business. I love a challenge, and I am blessed to have a soulmate that I am in love with, and 3 beautiful, healthy children that I just adore and get to spend a lot of time with. So I am a father first. I am an entrepreneur. I love the challenge of dadhood, and I love the challenge of businesses. I love the challenge of life, I guess. I guess I'm on the Pueblo West Metro board. I love this community. Anybody knows me, I'm very, very passionate about Pueblo and seeing Pueblo grow, and just letting people understand how amazing our community is that we live in here in Pueblo. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Well, and I was saying, Josh and I have shared these feelings about you, Matt, that we're super respectful of the fact that you are a dad first with all these things that you go on. Now you inspire us as men, as fathers, in that aspect, and your integrity and the ethics that you stand by, and your philosophies as you go on to these different adventures that you go on are super strong. And again, it's something that Josh and I talk about that inspires us, and so we wanted to give the opportunity to our viewers to see that in you. So again, thank you so much for being a part of that with us.
Well, I appreciate that. And I got so much love for you, Chris, and all the things that you've done as a father and business and stuff like that in this town. And I got a lot of respect for you as well. And Josh Pacheco was probably one of the first fathers that I ever saw that just was a family first human being. He made me want to be a dad. He was a dad way before I was. And I remember in his living room singing the song, Miss J. Lee, and it was the most Yeah, man. I could still jam it with you, but it was beautiful. Oh, yeah. And I've always respected you and your lovely wife as an amazing couple that are still doing the entrepreneurship, still being amazing parents. And I'm just blessed to have you guys in my life. I see your wife all the time, and she's just she's amazing. And you guys are building amazing things still in our community while living in a community real close by. So I got nothing but love for you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate all the opportunities you've helped create for us, man. It's been a wild, enjoyable journey.
It has been. We've worked together on several different hats, and it's been fun.
Long time when you were beginning the gym. And that's something I want to point out too, man. You are a developer of people. I think that was a job title. That's something I kind of consider myself as a coach, as a developer of people, and that's what you do. anybody that you interact with, and anytime I've worked with and under you, alongside of you in different avenues, you are always developing me, yourself, and others. And so it's just incredible because it's a decision, and it takes an ability to be very selfless and also be very humble, to give of yourself in that capacity. So thank you.
Well, I thank you, and I appreciate that. It was the pleasure was all mine working with you, my man. It was fun. We had a lot of good journeys together.
Oh yeah. Good time.
Should I tell the Vegas story real quick?
No.
That's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other podcast.
Oh, that's not this one. Okay.
So to the viewers,
that's bad. It's all good.
To the viewers and listeners, I think we're going to talk about, like you said, Josh, we're going to talk about defining our success.
Yeah.
And we want to encompass redefining success. We want to talk about sometimes talk about our motivators, right? And talk about some encouragement along the way. Matt, you had introduced this, and it caught my ear a little bit. The chance for us to share how challenging things are for everybody right now, and specifically with COVID-19 and the pandemic, and trying to stay positive, right? And that's the part of Josh and I's message in doing this, trying to stay positive and stay mentally healthy and keeping our families guided in the right direction. And so I kind of want to direct the question to you gentlemen. What kind of challenges you might be having right now pertaining to kind of the pandemic and adjustments and any of those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to just, in a quick nutshell, I will say that the COVID-19 was the best thing that ever happened to me. It truly slowed me down in so many different areas, and it sped me up in so many other areas. It put life into perspective. It put family time into perspective. And I was always a family guy, but this changed the game a lot for me and prioritized life and allowed me to run faster at the things with no distraction, like the book that I'm almost finished with, the podcast that we've kind of somewhat started, this marketing team that we've just been able to create and move forward with so many things that I think it truly, to me, was kind of how you made it, but it was a journey that I needed. Yeah, we got kicked in the teeth in every business I'm involved in, and I thought I was going to open today. And if you're a member of Snap Fitness, I am so sorry out there right now. Like I thought we were going to open last month, and then halfway through, I am very confident it's going to happen this week. But it's just been a crazy journey from the business world, but it has been, again, it's really helped me dial in what I want, who I want, how I want, and really help me get to that, streamline my own purpose and my own goals. So I needed a little slap in the face and a little slowdown to say, like, all right, pull on the brakes a little bit. So it was good for me. It was really, really good for me. How about you, Josh?
I love that mindset about it, because it's a choice. And so we got kicked in the teeth too, our salon, which, we're a tenant at your location, and where I used to be the general manager of that Snap Fitness, that was difficult for us. And fortunately, we were able to reopen May the 1st, and that has been incredible. So to all of our clients, thank you, because it has been amazing. We brought on some new stylists, and so Matt, when you have people that are working for you and they're with that income, how much it's the challenge is to create your own income, with your career and your family and your business. And then you got others that your decisions affect, or whatever your situation might be affects them and their children and their livelihood. And so it's just a lot of pressure. But like you said, it gave us that opportunity to adjust, to reset. My wife really started diving into being able to do this type of stuff, doing a lot of stuff that out of her own comfort zone that she found comfort in, educating online and providing those type of still helpful tips for our clients during those times. And that was super cool, because for me, I'm more like the Wizard of Oz when it comes to our salon business. I'm the guy behind the curtains, I don't do hair, but I'm on the back end doing the marketing. I'm on the back end sending emails. I go in and have conversations with the girls and motivate them, inspire them, and have those type of things and conversations take place, So I'm more like the father of our business type of thing, and I treat them like family. And I've got a lot of that from you, Matt, the way you treat others and how you manage your business.
I appreciate that.
And so for us, it was good and bad, because it was just, there's some, like, little Josh was going from 5th grade to 6th grade. So he had a very unique promotion ceremony. We had a parade through the neighborhood in Banning Lewis Ranch. So that was super cool. But it was also kind of disheartening because he didn't get to have, some of those cool things that I would know that they would have enjoyed by interacting with others. So that's my struggle. I'm very extroverted. I do work from home and I sell insurance and I love what I do, but I like to be out with others. I was supposed to coach 2 flag football teams, and the season postponed. So that's hard for me. Like I get out still, I go to the park, exercising. It's just not the same. So that's where I struggle, is like the actual interacting, with others versus virtually like this. You know what I mean? For me, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's one of my struggles. But like you, the good thing was more family time, different opportunities to teach, a different way to grow close with my relationship with my family and with God.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure like your relationships with your own teams too, they're stronger when this is all said and done. I mean, I'm closer to my team by far because we still had Zoom meetings daily. We still got stuff done, and we just were able to grow as a family team of all the teams that we have. So again, I think it helped, but you're right. There was a struggle. There was a family struggle. There was a lot of things going on that it was just trying to stay as positive as you possibly can every single possible day for everybody, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. My struggles are very, very similar to yours, Josh. I've been one of the many that got laid off from their job about 2-3 weeks ago, and that for me created opportunity. Just like what you said, Matt. I loved how you expressed that. I've been dabbling in taking the plunge into finance since I graduated from college, and then when I started a family, I just never had the guts, quite honestly, to take that chance. I had the responsibilities to maintain the household, so to speak, and this is kind of forcing me to do that, and it's all happening fairly quickly. I go get my first license on Thursday, and then I'll go for my round 2 probably next month. And so again, it's creating opportunities. I don't feel as pressed down, from like the man, so to speak. I can create my own destiny now, and I feel super, super good about that. And so it can be done. The positivity is out there. It's challenging at times. Absolutely. It's not easy to maintain that mindset, especially when you don't have the everyday normal routines, right? You're not, I mean, all of us are community driven people. And we don't have that interaction, right? It makes that much of a challenge for me. My role in my household changed. So I had to almost redefine my purpose as a father and as a man within my relationship and within my household. So that was an adjustment. But again, like you said, Josh, it created more opportunities for me to spend time with my kids. I got to see things and figure out how my kids learn through school, right? Which I would have normally not. You leave that kind of the teachers, right? But I got to see that. I got to share that. I got to kind of coach them through some of those things. I got to be a part of at least 1 year of their schooling and help, hopefully, in some way, shape, or form. And so there's something to be said about looking at those positive anecdotes, and when there's challenges, there's always an opportunity when there's a challenge that presents itself. And so again, we've all got our struggles, and we're all going through it, right, in some way, shape, or form. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to want to find it. It's out there, right?
That's well said.
Yeah, well said. Hats off to you for finding, a crazy negative time to turn it around into a positive, and way more, like to, not just survive through that, but you're going to thrive and be better off than we were before. So good job. Well done. Not everybody can say that.
No, not everybody. Well, I mean, if you stay on the positive side, it's possible. It's possible. Not everybody's able to at times. I get that. I've been there. Right. I had my days of panic, right? But the opportunity is there.
Right.
So onto like our topic, right? Our exciting topic is defining success. And so I think if we each define what we feel like our definition of success is, that'll help us kind of reel in what motivates us and all these other things. And so Matt, being that you're the guest, I'd love to hear what your in fact definition of success is, because I think at least in my experience, people, if I were to ask people in the community what they think I'm successful for, it would be different than what I think success is for me. And so I love to hear those things from you, Matt.
Yeah, what a question that is. Just throw that out there. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to put it in a nutshell, it would be that success to me would be that my children grow up to be amazing, respectable humans. My wife continues to love me and adore me for the rest of my life. And from a personal, from a health, and from a business standpoint, I am better today than I was yesterday. So if I was going to put it in a couple quick sentences, I think success to me is my children's outcome, my wife, my family's love and passion for the people around me, and truly just a daily win. A little bit better than I was the day before, I think. You know, we can go into details on all the things I want and this and that and how we all, but I think in a nutshell, if I was to say that, success to me is those things.
Well said.
Josh, what about you?
Thank you for sharing that, first of all, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought about that too, and for me, it's recently kind of different. I started listening to Grant Cardone, 10X, and he talks about the definition of success, and like a successor is somebody who comes in and becomes a new king. So you are a conqueror. You're the ultimate leader. So with that kind of mindset and being competitive, for me, success also is in those subcategories that you mentioned, Matt, like health and family and business and daily goals. But success for me now is more like not only large goals, but small goals. Like celebrating the little wins, especially nowadays, you know, and then finding a way to be dominating and conquering that goal. Whatever that goal is, busting through it, kicking it in the nuts, you know what I mean? And just really taking control. It's really difficult. We've had topics about control and as men, how we feel like we need to have control over things. And sometimes with these current times, we don't feel like we have control. So if we can set a goal, hit that goal, surpass that goal, and control it, you know what I mean? For me, that's success. And not being a victim, not feeling like, oh, well, poor woe is me. Like writing my own story and finding a solution, being a solution finder. For me, that is success.
I love it.
I do too. And thank you. You said it well, Josh. Thank you guys both for sharing that. Mine is very similar. You know, I want to have a successful marriage. I haven't had the pleasure of getting married yet, but I'm excited for the adventure, right? And I'm living a married man's life right now, and so I want to have a successful marriage. I want my kids to my boys to grow up to be gentlemen, my daughter to grow up to be whatever kind of lady she aspires to be, and I want them to be good people in society, and I want, you know, that's what I want for my life as a successful person. So what I want to touch on is that with as many accolades as you have, Matt, and as many adventures that you take on, and you, Josh, and myself, and the impression that we have in our communities, their definition, I feel like, of success in us isn't what our internal success is. And yeah, one of my favorite speeches is by Matthew McConaughey. It's an award speech that he gave, and it's all about chasing himself, right? And so there's three people that he chases, and one of those people is himself in 5 years. And so when he gets to himself in 5 years, does he look back on himself 5 years ago and say, yes? And Matt, you touched on that, right? Am I a better person now? Did I hit that achievement? Am I who I wanted to be in 5 years at that 5-year goal? And once I get there, you know, who am I chasing after that? Myself again in 5 years. And so that's yeah, exactly.
I love that.
And so that's kind of the mindset that I want to live by. But I think that's true for everybody. I think from outside looking in, people have different impressions. They have different experiences. They have different views on what actually success is. You know, I know for my fiance, she wanted to be a mom for the longest time, right? And she got there, and then she mothered a son, right? And then she wanted a daughter. She wanted to be a mother to a daughter. And so now that she's a mother to a daughter, now her sister's having, and so now she wants to be the favorite aunt, right? And so those are, it's very maternal for her. She doesn't, it's not business, it's not community. For her, it's family. And it's super admirable to me to be a part of that, right? There's a special kind of love in a woman. Matt and Josh, you both know that. You both have the same kind of women in your life, and so I feel super blessed to be a part of that. But I think that's true in a lot of different people. The people just define their success in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Thank you for sharing that, Chris.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Matt, we had a few other ones. Oh, good, Chris.
Yes. Go ahead, Josh. Nope, I was going to lead right into probably what you were going to say. So
yeah, Matt, we had a couple other questions we'd like to learn from you. Take this opportunity to share with each other, and with our audience. But with all that you have your hands in, I mean, all that you are involved in, what motivates you? What motivates Matt Smith to be successful, to find success?
That's a good one, and I guess it depends on what aspect of my life that is. But I think ultimately, if you ask me what my why was, is probably why I'm motivated, and that's my family 100%. And I know that sounds crazy and it sounds like everybody's just going to say that word, but it's true. Mm-hmm. I mean, even the running thing, we talked about this the other day, me and you, Josh. Mm-hmm. Like, you weren't a runner, like you weren't. But when I had a kid, something changed in my head that it wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about trying to get a six-pack or being the healthiest or non-healthiest, or it was about being here for them. And that's when I decided I'm going to run every day for the rest of my life. And I decided I was going to run a marathon, and I signed up for it and I did it. It was the stupidest thing. I hated running prior to that, but it was my family that put me that direction, I should say, Yeah. And so my family pushes me for everything, for the freedom, I feel like I work in the business world, grinding to make everything work, all the puzzle pieces together. Mm-hmm. For the freedom to see them more and to let them have more things that they don't have. And it all goes down to it's them. My wife and my kids deserve the best that this world has to offer. And I owe them that, and I'm going to give it to them somehow, some way. I'm going to do everything I can to give it to my family. So I think from a building standpoint, from what motivates me, it's going home to those kids on a daily basis and helping grow them while I'm growing myself. I think the motivation to like we just talked about, making them better humans. I think that sounds so crazy, but it is like, that is my number one goal. I don't care what they do in life. I do care that they're good humans. I care that they respect people. I care that they're good humans and that they will be good for the rest of their life and their children will be good. I don't care anything from that. You do whatever you want to do. You do it any direction you want. I don't care what political side you have. I don't care anything. Just be a good human. And I think that's my ultimate goal, and building things. I mean, businesses, you guys know me. Like, I love to build things. I love to open businesses. I love to watch them go from this to this. I enjoy the thrill of building things. And that's kind of my motivation is to get to that top mountain and then to build the next mountain and to never think that, okay, this is the tallest one. I'm done. I'm ready. And I think that drives my wife crazy. Like, no matter where we're at, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm like, dude, you just got done building Snap. What do you mean you want to open Snooze? You just did the largest round. You just did this. Now you want to open a mattress store? And I'm like, yes, we got this. And then you get there and you open another one. And it's like, it's always trying to climb that hill and climb that mountain. And I think that's just, but it all comes down to my family. That's what I do it for. It's the time with them, getting the time back with them and giving them what they deserve, I think. So my family's my damn motivation 100%. Can I say damn on your podcast?
Yeah, you can say that. That's fine.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're drinking whiskey. Why not? Yeah.
After the whiskey kicks in, maybe saying some other words, huh?
Right. Yeah. So that's why we limit ourselves. That's why we limit ourselves before the whiskey actually kicks in. See.
Exactly. Yeah, I love what you said about climbing the mountain there. John C. Maxwell talks about everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile is uphill. But as you're going up that mountain, you're going to find others. There's some that are going to fall off. You know what I mean? But as you're climbing that mountain, you find those that are climbing as well, and then we can help each other. You know what I mean? And that allows for us to not be like that crab in the basket mentality. John C. Maxwell talks about that too. Like, sometimes we got to check ourselves. Are we being that crab pulling somebody down, like, oh, Matt Smith is finding success, so I'm going to talk smack about him and pull him down? Or am I like, hey, I'm so happy for Matt Smith, and that's who I need to run with, you know, because it's about choice. You know what I mean? So I think that's super cool because when you're at the top, there's a beautiful view, and there's so many like others that people really do want to help others get to the top. You know, right now that may not be very easy to see, but it still exists. I choose to believe it still exists.
I agree. Yeah, and I think Tony Robbins has the same thing. Sorry, he says, you know, you have two options to get to the tallest building in your city. One, tear down the tallest building, or two, build a taller building. It's up to you. Those are your two options. So taller one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Matt, next question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I think I was going to segue into the next question, but you know, I was going to kind of echo that.
You guys haven't answered your motivation. What's your motivation?
Well, Josh, you got I was going to share mine.
Okay.
I was going to share mine. I'll let you go first. No, go right ahead.
After you. I want to be a gentleman.
So I was going to say yes. My family is my motivator as well. You know, the things I do on a day-to-day basis, they're constantly on my mind, whether I'm in my house or out doing community stuff or whatever it is I'm doing. I'm thinking about, you know, how I can make, again, like you said, Matt, how I can make their life easier, how I can make them better, how I can inspire them to be good people, to be gentlemen, to be a lady in the community, however it is that she finds her place in the community. Though, my fiance, how I can make her proud on a day-to-day basis. That's my why, and my who, because I think that's a segue. I'll let you. I think I want to hear Josh's why before I share my who.
Yeah, what motivates me also, just like the both of you guys, is family. You know, Matt, like you, when you became a dad, a total mind shift occurred. I wasn't the same Josh. I don't think I grew up till I was a father, and I was a younger father like you. You know, I was had kids before you did, of course, in our group of guys. You know, I was 23, 24-ish, I think, when my daughter was born. She's 13 now, but Daniel's 16 now. You know what I mean? Because Jess had a son before we met. So I've been a father a long time. Before that, I was an uncle a long time, and I've just have fashioned a talent of working with kids, and I've always felt like God called me to help this world be a better place, and the way I was able to do that was working with kids. If you can make a child a better child, you can make the world a better place. Mm-hmm. And so there's sprinkles of Pacheco throughout society to help them grow to be better individuals. Mm-hmm. And so that's what motivates me, because now I have my own responsibility with my own family, and so that's what my focus is, my children. That's what drives me and pushes me. But also losing my brother of ALS recently drives me. In a different way.
And Josh, thank you for sharing that. I know that's a painful thing. It's really recent for you, so appreciate you sharing that with all of us. And that's near and dear to. I mean, we all knew Benji in some way, and so he's a great dude. So just want to say that. But then there's also who, right? In everybody's life is who motivates you, right? And I know for me, it's guys like you, quite honestly, that inspire me and motivate me to be a better man, a better person in the community. So I want to be like Matt and Josh when I grow up, you know. but in all honesty, and I think it's important, right, to have people of positivity and people of motivation and people that are better than you at a lot of stuff in your life, so that you have drivers, right? And sometimes that's not easy for and especially for type A people to keep in their life, right? Is people that they feel is better than them. I think it's super important. It only makes you, for me, it only makes you a better person. And so it's gentlemen like you that are my who motivates me. So I thank you for that.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir. How about you, Mr. Smith?
How about you?
Yeah,
let's change it up. It's your
Well, I've got at my desk here, I've got some motivators. I got Arnold Schwarzenegger. So for managing the gym, Matt, Arnold Schwarzenegger became one of my inspirations. This and if you don't know, for the audience, if you don't know his story, like this is a guy who wanted to be a part of the sport in another country. They're like, that's an American thing. You shouldn't do that. And he did it anyway. Then he came to our country and people were like, you want to be an actor? Your name is Arnold Schwarzenegger. What? That'll never work. You're just go do something else. And he used that weakness, or it was a weakness, as a strength. He was pumping the in the gym, doing what he wanted to do, taking acting at night. He was working, doing construction, sleeping only 5 hours a day. That's all you need. We all got 24 hours in a day, where you're going to find success. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, when I learned this about him, I was like, wow, I am a slacker. Like, here's a man that came from another country, learned another language, was told he couldn't this, couldn't that, and did it anyway. And elevated to marry the Kennedys and became the governor of California. Do you know what I mean? Like that was an inspirational individual for me. So him, Martin Luther King, Lionel Messi, professional football player, one of the small soccer players who spent 17 years of his life playing the game to become an overnight success. Like success doesn't happen overnight. Like Arsalan's having great success now, but we struggled and we grinded and we worked hard for years. And people are like, oh, wow, look at this. Like, excuse me? Like, there were times like it was hard to pay bills, And so like my wife motivates me. She is very driven. She is more driven than anybody that I know. I wish I'm like, just take a break, honey. Just slow down. She just won't stop. Which I love.
That's awesome.
Most of the time. So, and then Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is another one who motivates me. Another individual that a lot of self-talk. He said he was the greatest before he was the greatest. You know what I mean? And then striving for that greatness. And for me, that's what I strive for. And it's just harder to strive now because of everything going on. So much negativity that you got to really push it away to stay focused on those individuals and those things to try and find success. Mm-hmm. So that's motivates me.
Well said, Josh. That's awesome. And those are good ones. Those are really, really good ones.
Thanks.
Matt, what about you?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, I don't. I'm not as good at that anymore. I'm here to bombs. You are. So I would definitely say the first one that sticks in my head when you ask the question would be my mom for sure. My mom was gone too soon. She passed at 50 years old, 14 years ago now, and she definitely motivates me as a parent, as a human, as just who I am. I think that my mom is 100% the reason I am who I am, and I give her 100% credit for everything. And so definitely my mom, my wife, my kids, we could keep going back to that same thing over, but they motivate me. They're my who. And then from a celebrity standpoint, man, I love Audible. Like I could tell you about 20 different people, but like from Elon Musk, the guy that just went to space yesterday or 2 days ago, that was told that there's no way he can compete against NASA, and he did it at a fraction of the cost. It said you can't drive a car on a battery, and he made it happen. That said, solar panels on a roof, and he made it happen. Like everybody that said he can't do it, he sold his own house to just do more things because he doesn't want to own anything. Like the guy's next level stuff that but like Joe Rogan and Tony Robbins, and I just try to feed so many different books and people that on a day-to-day basis that motivate whatever's going on. But Audible is definitely a motivator for me, and I could probably give you 100 more examples of famous people. But right now, Elon Musk sticks in my head because of the shit that he just does that people tell him he can't do, and
he does it.
It's just he's like a computer that's just it's special. It's our world needs that guy. He's here to get us to Mars, to give us a different perspective that people don't think you can do. And I love it because any entrepreneur on a small scale is told you can't do it, and you have to figure out how to do it with 30 people telling you no. This guy's on a whole different level of told no's that he's making stuff happen. So, yeah, that's just and I could continue down that list, but for time, I'll just say those are my who.
Awesome. So
that's the Mother Teresa principle. I don't know if you know. There's a whole poem that Mother Teresa wrote, and it's called "Do It Anyway." And that's where a lot of that comes from. And if you look at everything that we have in common as far as our who, that's the mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody can tell those people that they can't do it, because they're going to do it anyway. Right. And they can't, like, and you said it really, really well, Matt. You know, they said he couldn't put solar panels on. They said he couldn't power a car with a battery. They said, you know, that how many things they told Arnold Schwarzenegger that he couldn't do, right? You look at Michael Jordan. I don't know if you guys have watched The Last Dance, but The Last Dance was awesome. You guys got to check that out if you haven't seen it already. A little plug for that show right there. But that show like really motivated my soul. And like revitalize that whole mentality. Like nobody can tell me I can't do something, right? And that's how great things are made, right? Is that drive through those things. And I think that's something that's difficult to achieve and in a challenging time like this, but super, super important to continue to plug away at whatever challenge you're trying to overcome, and whatever challenge in your life that you can't really seem to get through. And so, those are super, super, super good ones. And I think, something that we talked about earlier in the week, when we talked about motivators in our life, are they universal, right? And so if the direction in your life, for example, like Josh, your salon, had some challenges. Matt, you haven't been able to open the gym on time, right? Like I lost my job. So those are forks in the road that kind of like took us in kind of a bypass route to where we were trying to get to. Mm-hmm. But those motivators in our lives stayed universal, right? Which I also think is super, super important when it comes to that. Those things continue to drive us no matter what road that we're on. And sometimes people don't have that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. And I couldn't, the thing that sticks out of everything you just said right there is I think if anybody ever comes and says, hey, give me advice, I want to open a business, or hey, Matt, I'm thinking about doing this, this, and this. And I get this question here and there. And my best advice I can give anybody is just do it. Just do it. That's the hardest part is just do it.
Yeah.
So many people, that's the scariest part, is like overthinking it and researching yourself to death and convincing yourself that it's a bad idea. Just do it. Just like that thing says behind me, an entrepreneur, somebody jumps off a cliff and builds the plane on the way down. Just do it. You'll figure it out as you go,
Yeah.
So for me, as somebody that's had those challenges, and being that you just said that, Matt, like if I were to ask you, well then Matt, how do you do it? What are the steps? How do I encourage myself to do that? You gave me some advice earlier in the week about running. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's one step, right? But I think you have some great insight into like, how do you encourage somebody to do that? If I said, hey, Matt, yes, I get just do it, but how do I do that? What would you say?
Actually, there's a chapter in my book that I call it there's a lot of different things I can go into here, but there's a chapter in my book that we're finishing right now, and there's a little insight. This is the first time I've given any insight into the book, but there's a chapter that's called the 1 day rule. And it's, to me, is I truly believe an entrepreneur that's thinking about something, if you designated 1 day, 8 hours in 1 day to learning everything you possibly can about that industry and learning how to be the best in that industry, you would be successful and you can make that happen. Google can teach us how to do anything. And there's so much information out there that I mean, every business I created, I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I just had to think outside the box a little bit with it, and be a little bit different than everybody else out there. So to find your motivation, like you said, is baby steps. Like Pacheco even said a little while ago, is like, we talked about the running thing, and it's in the waking up early thing. I have so many different, but I'm a believer you should be up 3 hours before anybody else in the household, or 3 hours before you have to become working, or before you have to do anything. And what if you start work at 10, you should be up at 7. If you start work at 9, you should be up at 6, and so on and so forth. But giving yourself that time, I promise you, in that 20 days to getting rid of a bad habit, you will be blown away how much you can accomplish before most people even open their eyes. And truly, and your motivation starts there, and what you feed yourself starts there. So, that's twofold, but really, like, getting up, grinding and starting your day with good stuff into your head, not allowing the negative shit to hit, not allowing Facebook to hit because there's something going on in this world, not allowing that news channel to hit because something's going on, allowing the podcast or the book or the Cardone or whatever it may be to enter your ears as you just hit that pavement and you're just walking and you're just strolling, and you're just getting the good vibes in there. Nothing's stopping you the rest of that day. You're making that day great. And that's truly, if I have advice, that's it. And if you think of something that you want to do, spend a day with no distractions on just figuring out how to think outside the box and combining industries and learning everything you can about that. And that'll start the momentum in my eyes to creating a lifetime career or job or business, because you've designated an entire 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever that is to just that one idea. Those are 2 insights.
So you said 2 things that are pivotal to me, and I think one of those is like on a very elementary level is goal setting, right? Is just set yourself a daily goal or an hourly goal or something to help you achieve an attainable goal, right? Something to help you feel motivated to achieve the next goal. And it could be something as simple as, I know they in the military, that's why they have you make your bed, right? That's the first goal that you hit in the morning, right? And then after you hit that goal, it's then what? And you said this to me earlier, and when I asked you about running, Matt, because that wasn't, and you said, just set small goals for yourself. Run for 15 minutes, run for 20 minutes, run for half a mile, and see how it gets you. And then once you get to that level, then run for a mile. Now you're up to 5, right? You were never a runner before. But I think that's super, super pivotal when you're trying to achieve some level of success, is setting those goals for you, right? Because what happens when you set those goals and attain those goals and you start creating positive habits for yourself, right? Which leads to a lot of that. So, I mean, you said that really, really well in that kind of nutshell that you gave, but those are kind of the 2 takeaways that I took from that is setting those goals and creating those positive habits for you. I mean, I'm sure at some point in your life, Matt, you didn't get up at 3 hours before everybody else. Maybe you started at 30 minutes, maybe you started at an hour so that you could get to, yes, now I'm going to get up 3 hours before everybody else so that I can give myself that time. But without those, so I mean, Josh, that we all know this as coaches, right? I mean, that's what we tell our players. That's what we tell the people that we're trying to influence.
Right.
Like just start here, right? Just start with the dribble. Just to dribble to the end line, right? Dribble to the 18, then dribble to the half, and then come back. Those kinds of things, and then you'll develop that skill. Then you'll develop that mindset. Then you develop those things, and you'll be able to kind of talk your way through. Josh, you said this to me earlier this week about self-talk, and so what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, we spend the most time with ourselves. So, like Matt, you were talking about getting those good vibes in, listen to the books, listen to the podcasts. For me, it's being in the Word as well. Listening to the Holy Spirit, and then what you say to yourself too. Because if you're just soaking in whatever else is out there, all those distractions, that's what's going to go in here, and that's what's going to come out. Because what's in your heart, that's what's going to come out of your mouth. That's what those actions are going to become. But if you are telling yourself, I'm going to meet this goal today, I'm going to make my bed, because when I was a new father, it was easy to just not make the bed. But it was super nice when you get in the habit of making the bed, and then you got a made bed to go to bed to. Regardless of what happened in the day, you've got that goal, that little goal that you made and that you did it, And it can be really difficult when we're not telling ourselves that we're good at something or that we're positive at something or, that we can do something, whatever that might be. If we can be our own worst enemy, if we're talking bad to ourselves, we're never going to reach those goals. We're not going to have a successful business or recruit others or attract others or have a great marriage or allowed to be ourselves to be good fathers to our children. Just like you would never tell your kid, I think the 3 of us would never talk down to our children, tell them they were losers and idiots. We're going to encourage them. I love you. You can do this. I'm so sorry you feel that way. Come here. Let me help you. You know what I mean? Like those type of things we need to say to ourselves. And I think in society, it's just so easy to just slip into just saying bad things to yourself. And those are whispers. And my spiritual thoughts are of the devil, of us, because he wants us to not be successful or care about ourselves. But really, we need to love ourselves. And when we love ourselves well, respect ourselves, we can love others well. We can respect others well. We can enjoy our community.
And that's almost the easy mindset, right? Is that it was what you said, Josh? You said it better than I could articulate, obviously. But I put myself in my one of my boys' mindset, and he didn't have the confidence in himself to find simple answers in his schoolwork, and so he was constantly saying, "I can't do this. I need help. I can't do this. Can you please just give me the answer?" And so I had to sit with him, and I said, "Look, son, I know how smart you are. I know, I see it every day. I know you can figure this out. I know that you can do it." And once I got him to a point where he said, "You know what? You're right. I can do it." He was almost self-sufficient after that, teaching himself through lessons. And I think still, as adults, as humans, we still need that. I mean, Matt, you gave that advice to me earlier this week when I asked you about, I keep using that running aspect, but you were like, dude, if you think, because I told you, I shared with you, I just don't like running. And you said, look, man, if you said to yourself, you don't like running, what did you say?
You don't like running. If you keep telling yourself that, you're not going to like that.
Yeah.
Chris, I love you. I believe in you. You can do it.
Exactly.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is there a difference
there by me saying that to you and you saying that to your son? Is there?
Yeah. Well, you're saying it to me, and so now it makes me believe that I can do it, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, absolutely.
You absolutely can.
Absolutely.
100%. So I love it. And, I love both your points. And I think that as much as self-talk, and not to go down a negative path, but I think there's self-talk, and then I think there's excuse talk. And
that's good.
It's a reality. Like, reality is you have two things. You either convince yourself you're going to make this happen, or you convince yourself of 500 reasons why you couldn't, and that there was a storm, or that you got sick, or they got a flat tire, or whatever the hell happened in your life on why you couldn't make something happen is kind of the opposite. But that's sometimes society, or my kid's better than that. He's got a horrible teacher, and my kid's so-and-so, and that's why he's not succeeding. Like, we could make up excuses just as easy, you know what I mean? And I think in our society, you can be caught up in that, where you start that day, you start that life, and you start the mentality of what you guys are both doing as fathers in your own life. And it's a muscle. You just keep that momentum, and you don't allow that freight train from stopping. That snowball just keeps going. And there's no excuses. Like, if there is, it's an excuse that I owe myself because I screwed up, but it's not an excuse for anybody else out there, because there's no excuse in life. You know, you got one shot at this. Take that down.
Well said. No, that's absolutely super well said. Yeah, absolutely super well said. Because when it comes back to that whole mentality that there's nobody, no situation that should be able to stop you from attaining that goal, from attaining those feats, right? No situation, whether it's a teacher, whether it's an administrator, whether it's a life challenge, whether it's financial, you will get there. It may not get there as fast as you want at some time, but if you drive, you can get there. It is attainable.
Absolutely.
You can do it. And I think that's very, very well said, Matt. And that's something that I hope is infectious in today's society, because starting tomorrow. Because
you're going to taste a little bit of whiskey in your mouth when you wake up. And you're like, man, why did I have that? Put your shoes on and don't use that as an excuse. Put your shoes on and go for a run tomorrow morning.
Deal.
It's easy to talk yourself out of it because we had a little too much.
Deal. No, but in all seriousness, I think that's something that gets lost, right? In society, you get caught up in, and you said it really well, Matt, in excuses. You get caught up in excuses. Josh and I had a whole podcast about manifesting your truth, right? And I think that's a huge part of that, and a huge part of what your advice was, and how you kind of regrounded me in that mindset, Matt. And that's why I thank you for that. And we need that, right? I mean, I think we as men, in particular, forget that we need people like that to sometimes tell us and encourage us. And it's okay for us to absorb that information from others. We don't know it all. We don't, we can't get through it all ourselves, right? That's why, again, Matt, you said you have your family. They're absolutely your support system as well. Josh, yours too. I know yours and mine are. We need us as strong men, and I don't think it's untrue for any other man out there. We need each other, right? We need that encouragement from each other. We need that brotherhood. We need other men to express that in us, and I think it's important for us to express that in other men.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the topic of self-talk, a buddy of mine, he shared something on his story on Facebook, and it was this. I don't know who this kid was, but he was talking about how scientifically plants, if you talk to them, they're going to thrive better.
Oh yeah.
Right now, we are composed as human beings of 60% of water. So, what are you telling yourself every day? What are you listening to every day?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was like a challenge. Like talk yourself, go out there and do it. And it was more like a fitness type of thing. But that carries over to everything, because if you can get those habits of making your bed, doing physical activity in the morning, and just not making excuses, accepting your failures and overcoming it. And this is all easier said than done, because I failed a lot in my life, so I can talk to these things, but I've also found a lot of success. Like a baseball player, a batter, he's striking out 7 times if he's batting 300, and that's good. You know what I mean? So I think we just need to kind of just forgive ourselves a little bit more when it comes down to that type of thing. When it comes to finding success, you're gonna fall, but you're got to keep going.
Well said.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point, Josh, and very, very well said.
And to your point, Chris, I have 3 coaches in my life. I have so many different people that I need to know. You got to have that people. You got to have people helping you learn more and more and grow, So that's what life's about. Every single week I meet with several different people that's the design, is to help me grow.
Well, and you said it to me, and Josh, you said earlier, you are your own worst enemy. You're your own worst voice. You have that voice in your head, and there's something to be said about waking up in the morning and making that bed and looking in the mirror and saying to yourself and believing when you say that you can do it. Right? And I think that's a huge challenge for a ton of people. It still is for me on a daily basis, looking at myself in the mirror and telling myself, hey, I struggle with that daily still. Hey, you can do this. Yeah. Right. It's not just somebody else telling you and somebody else believing in you, because God knows, I know my family believes in me, but God also knows that I struggle sometimes in believing in myself, and that's a daily struggle. And it's easy, sometimes much easier, I would tell you, in my experience, to go backwards in that struggle and regress, rather than look forward and telling myself, you know what, I actually can do this. Yeah. And I think there's a ton of people that struggle with that.
Absolutely. Well, you said something about the mirror. So Matt, remember that book by David Goggins?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the truth mirror. So like when he was fat, he called himself a fat shit. You know what I mean? And he put that up right on his mirror, because it was the opposite of like telling yourself good stuff. For him, that's what motivated him. So I think it depends on the individual. So for him, he needed to see like, no, I'm not that. And even though he's calling himself that, right? For him, it was the opposite effect and motivating him. So the stuff that he needed to work on that he was struggling in, he put that Post-its on his mirror so that he'd see it. So that way he couldn't hide from those things. So that way he had to overcome and conquer those things. And he's just been a phenomenal success. So that's another, like you're talking about, Matt, like Audible just being an inspiration. Oh, yeah. He's another guy.
Well, but he also, to flip that coin, is he calls himself the baddest mother effer on the planet, and he always has. So that's self-talk right there. That's
exactly.
Not settling for anything but being the baddest mother effer on the planet.
And I'd be curious how many times he had to say that to himself before he actually believed it. Yeah. And now he believes it, and look how amazing he is. So some of the takeaways, I think our viewers just kind of want to absorb is that everybody's going to have their own definition of success, right? And once you achieve that success, it's super, super important and super, super healthy to have another attainable goal, right? To move forward, not necessarily say, okay, well, that's over and done with, but you want to make yourself better and continue to make yourself better and have those motivators that surround you, right? And believe in yourself that you can overcome whatever challenge that presents itself to you, to your family, to anybody else that you surround yourself with. So
awesome.
Absolutely. And Matt Smith, I want to take this time to thank you for the opportunity to interview you and hang out with you and to pick your brain a little bit. Part of why I do this as well is to grow, with others. And so this has certainly been an opportunity of growth for us. And I hope that you've gained, some inspiration from this. We have certainly been inspired. We hope that our followers have been inspired by this information, by this knowledge. And we look forward to episode 6 and return of Matt Smith in a potential future episode, sir. And Matt has a podcast as well called Matt Chat, right?
Matt Chat, positive shit only. It's called the Matt Chat. That's the positive shit only. But we're working on finishing that back out there and getting out there. I just want to get it started and running. So we'll be moving forward on that sometime this month. A few others.
For those that want to follow you, how can they find you? On what platform are you on?
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And I working on our website, themattchat.com.
Nice, awesome. Yeah. And there's a book coming out.
And a book. It's the running title is Balancing Act, but we're working on defining that if that's going to be the final title. That's a hard thing. It's like creating the name of snooze or it's like coming up with a final book title has got to be one of the most challenging things, and it's been running for a while. So I've got hundreds of them that we're working on, but that's the running title right now is the Balancing Act. And it's the whole book premise is juggling family and business and how to strategize doing both and what strategies to put in place, like some that we've talked about today that can potentially help somebody on one side or the other side, or somebody that's only a father, somebody that's only a business person or in a business career or something like that. So the ultimate goal is just giving some step-by-steps and, trying to help a little bit out there if I can and tell some stories.
Well, I'm not a huge reader, Matt, but you let me know how I can get a copy of a signed copy of that book. I'll pay whatever the price is for a signed copy of that thing. I know that book's going places, so I can't wait for that.
You guys get both a copy of that for free. I'm just honored to be here, guys. No, but thanks for having me. It was an absolute honor. You guys are doing special things in this community. We're lucky to have you both, all of your talents, all the stuff that you do and continue to do. Keep on changing the world, boys, like only you two can.
Thank you, Matt Smith. We'll do it together.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Don't forget, you guys got to stay uncommon.
Stay uncommon. Follow us on YouTube. Thank you all.
Have a good one.
Hasta luego.